All right, Hob Nation. Back in the Box Productions proudly brings to you the OMC show. I am the original MC, and we're here to talk Hop football, the results from week 5, and what was a crazy, crazy week. So, a lot of injuries happening. We'll talk on some of that. This was also the first week of the bye weeks. And so we'll touch on that. When I start each sort of review of the game, we'll take a look at any notable buys that were happening for that particular week. And it was a wild week, some heavy scores, and things are really starting to roll now. It's a 14-week regular season in fantasy, and we are through 5 weeks. So we are past the or approaching the halfway mark, and we're a little more than a third of the way done with the regular season. So lots to get into, so let's go ahead and chop it up. All right. As always, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Share the screen. Excuse me. There it is. Okay. And make sure I have it. There it is. Okay. So when we come up to the first matchup, as always, I start with my own matchup. We have the Polar Bears putting up a hefty 196, taking out the Goodfellas, who have now lost 2 of the last 3 weeks, unfortunately. However, I can tell you that leading into the season, I penciled this week in as a potential loss because of some bye week concerns. Add to that the injuries that I've sustained as well. So let's take a look first. Let's take a look first at any notable buys. On my side, I had Kenneth Walker out, Tyler Lockett out, Austin Eckler out, who's now back from the injury. On the Polar Bear side, as the roster currently stands here, we have no one on bye, so he had his full complement of players. That being said, I was done in right here by Mr. DJ Moore on Thursday night, who put up a colossal 65-point effort. And let's see, if we do the math here, I lost by 29 points. If he puts up half of that 65, it's a much, much closer game. Patrick Mahomes with 21 points. David Montgomery, who's looking real good, especially with Gibbs being out right now, 25 points. Bijan Robinson, probably one of the most impressive 11 points that I've ever seen. The guy had some incredible catches along the way. He really is a solid player. Devontae Adams, this was the guy that actually leading into the week scared me the most because I saw a revenge game versus Green Bay on primetime Monday night. However, he came in with a shoulder injury and as such really underperformed, only with 8 points. But Mr. DJ Moore picked up the slack with a 65-point outburst on Thursday night versus Washington, which really put me in a deep hole considering all the players I had sitting. Jonnu Smith with 10, the other Atlanta tight end. DeAndre Swift with 16. Didn't really have a great game, but he was active in the passing game. 13 from Rashee Rice. I'll tell you, this matchup, I was watching, the Chiefs had played a late game, and I was watching, and the Mahomes to Rice touchdown, which happened somewhat later in the game, was the backbreaker, because leading up to that point, I thought I still might have had a chance. Dolphins defense versus the hopeless Giants team, 21 points, 0 from the kicker, and a big Lions win. On his bench, Justin Fields, 43 points. That Fields more stack would have been nice there. Didn't matter. He won anyway. Drake London, who's starting to get some more run in Atlanta. However, breaking news, don't know if you heard, Van Jefferson just got traded from the Rams to Atlanta. I'd be curious to see if that helps, hurts, or doesn't change Drake London's value. Jacoby Myers, who acted as the de facto number 1 for Las Vegas, putting up 20 points on the bench. Kyle Pitts came to play, 15 points, and outscoring Jonnu Smith, who seemingly had been the preferred tight end over there. Still makes no sense to me. Anyway, when you add up all the starters, 196 points is a really solid effort. Anytime you can approach 200, you're doing big things, and I simply didn't have enough to put it together for this week. On my side, Josh Allen, who's really picked it up and playing well, 36 points. Tony Pollard's been a little underwhelming. I made some bold claims at the beginning of the season that I thought he could be RB1 this year. I think Dallas as a whole has underperformed, and Tony Pollard's still a dangerous player. This was a tough game versus San Francisco on the road, and a game script really held them out. But I'm hoping for better things from Tony Pollard. I had to roll Jaylen Warren out there, who got me 10 points. I still think he's the back to own in Pittsburgh, and will eventually take over. But he was in there because of all the bye week issues on this particular week. Tyreek Hill, another 40-burger, 43 points versus the Giants, and he just continues to roll on and be the anchor, frankly, of this team up till now. Marquise Brown has been a nice surprise, 16 points versus Cincinnati. Very nice day for him. Andrews, 12 points, very nice from the tight end spot. One of my favorite pickups of the season, Jaleel McLaughlin, 17 points in Denver. Now Javonte Williams seems like he's going to make his return this Thursday. But this McLaughlin kid, if you've watched him play, he's undrafted, but he's one of those guys that's like a spark plug player. He reminds me of like an old Maurice Jones-Drew, or some of these guys that comes in, even James Cook from last year. I don't think James Cook is really suited for the primary running back role, but as a change of pace guy, McLaughlin's unbelievable. I mean, he's averaged 70 yards a game and a score in each of his 2 games, and he's played less than half the snaps. He's going to get more run in Denver, and if Denver continues to lose, look for McLaughlin to get even more playing time. He got me a nice 17 points on this day. Newly acquired Nico Collins, actually coming back home since I had Nico, traded him away and brought him back. Disappointing effort, 6 points. Better days to come. 13 points versus Pittsburgh for the Ravens. Ravens had Pittsburgh in check the whole game, and then Pittsburgh came back furiously and ended up winning the game. 2 points from the kicker. Eagles continue to roll. 5 points from the coach for a nice win there. Only item of note, you could see a bunch of zeros on here because of all the bye weeks. Jared Goff, 31 points on the bench, but I'm not playing Goff over Allen under almost any circumstances. So this was the best I could do. Add it all up, 167 points. No good. Goodfellas lose. Drops to 3-2. Still sitting at first place in my division because the next 2 guys who have the same record as me, I've beaten them both head-to-head. So fortunately, I currently still hold the tiebreakers right now in my division. But it's very tight. Polar Bears raises record to 2-3 with a really nice effort and has a lot of firepower on this team. So he's one to watch. All right, next one. This is kind of a sad... Excuse me. Kind of a sad game here. Chosen Ones. Unfortunately, falling to 0-5. Losing to Brooklyn Baller, 128-104. Low-scoring affair. Let's take a look at the buys. On Chris's side, Geno Smith on bye. Jerome Ford on bye. Ford's handcuffed. Kareem Hunt on bye. On other MC's side, Elijah Moore on bye. Amari Cooper on bye. A couple of Cleveland receivers there. So decent bye weeks for both of these guys. On the Chosen One side, Joe Burrow finally came back to life, 36 points. Wouldn't it be nice if he still had Jamar Chase, the Burrow to Chase stack, because Chase is starting to play lights out. Joe Mixon with 13 points, 15 points for Raheem Mostert. But here's the thing. Raheem Mostert, better days to come, it looks like, because Mr. A-Chain, and I know that's not how he pronounces it, is going to miss some time with a knee injury. Mostert seemingly may be back in the driver's seat. However, Jeff Wilson comes off of IR. So we'll see what that split looks like moving forward. Brandon Ayuk has been great so far this season, but only 9 points versus Dallas. I don't look at that as any issue with Ayuk. I look at it as the way the Niners are constructed, they have a lot of different tools, and this was George Kittle's game. And game script, so to speak, really eliminated the need for Ayuk to do big things in this game. CeeDee Lamb only with 8 points versus San Francisco. I noticed the Chosen Ones have since dropped Dak Prescott, which was interesting because that was like the basis of his trade. Another stack that he, no more Prescott to Lamb. Whatever, you got to make changes when you're not winning. Tyler Higbee, 4 points. Romeo Doubs with 1 point, and it was an ugly 1 point. He caught one little catch for like 3 yards at the end of the game and didn't even look good doing it. A.J. Dillon, who was picked up in the 10th hour because Aaron Jones was out. 13 points, not bad. Could have had a better day. 6 points from the defense, 2 from the kicker, and a loss from the Bills. Look, at the end of the day, we had, there was a lot of single point efforts on this squad. Add it all up, only 104 points. That's a really rough day. Excuse me, guys. Just want to plug in the laptop so we don't die mid-recording here. So, 104 points for the chosen ones. And, on the bench, 49ers defense, 24 points. Chark with 13. Josh Reynolds with 17. There were some points on the bench there. But frankly, I do understand playing Texans defense versus Atlanta instead of San Francisco over the Dallas Cowboys, especially when you have a Cowboys receiver on your team. It makes sense to me. On the Brooklyn Baller side, I want you to look at the first 5 here. 9 points, 2 points, 8 points, 8 points, 6 points. That was from a quarterback, 2 running backs, and 2 receivers. Pretty bad. But Sam Laporta, who right now is tight end 1, just traded for with me. Actually, he just got Laporta. 19 points from Laporta. 31 points from Pickens, only 2 points from Wilson. Jets defense, 33 points versus Denver in an amazing defensive effort. 4 points from Mr. 8th round kicker Justin Tucker, and 6 points for a big win for the Jets head coach. On the bench, we had 18 from Addison. Addison may get some more run now with Jefferson being out for a while. Kirk Cousins with 20 points. Tyler Conklin with 10. Add it all up. 128 points. Not a great score, but it's enough to beat your opponent when your opponent scores 104 points. Brooklyn Baller 2-3. Chosen ones 0-5. Yet to register a victory on this season. But let me give you some perspective. There are 14 games in the regular season. Now, when you start out 0-5, it's hard to imagine going on a winning streak. But here's the deal. He could conceivably end up 9-5 with a little bit of luck and a couple of moves that work out. You never know. So it is not over yet. It's a hard thing to come back from being 0-5. But you know what? Guys have made the playoffs with, losing records. And, it can still happen. So onward and upward, keep on moving. Next one. This was a really close one. Scooter's Boys loses to Miamichi, best pizza in Florida. And Vinny's Miamichi Hop. 126-124, a 2-point victory for Vinny. This is a really tough one. On Rick's side, we have Chris Godwin on bye, and on Vinny's side, we had Mike Evans and David Njoku on bye, so a couple of decent players out there. So let's look at Scooter's Boys. 17 for Wilson, 8 points for King Henry, who is King Henry no more. Alvin Kamara with 18. The Ram receivers, 24 and 20 points respectively for the returning Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Evan Engram, 6 points. Mike Thomas with 10. Ferguson with 5. Lions defense with 8. 11 points from the kicker and a Texans loss. I point this out every year when I see it. This is crazy to me. Texans lost to Atlanta 21-19 on a last-second field goal with no time on the clock. If that field goal misses, Texans win the game. This -3 turns into a +5, and Rick wins the game. Go ahead and tell me that head coaches don't matter. I every year I bring it up because it comes up every year. On Vinny's side, only 2 points from the quarterback, 13 from McCaffrey, who scored in his 14th consecutive game or something. But again, it was George Kittle's game. They didn't need to lean on C-Mac, but he's still having a great year. Josh Jacobs, another good game, 18 points. Jalen Waddle, 14 points. Devonta Smith, again, giving way to A.J. Brown. George Kittle, the aforementioned, 27 points in a huge effort. First 3 touchdown game of his career. 12 points from Christian Watson, and he needed every one of them. Christian Kirk with 13, 5 from Jaguars defense. And check it out, 16 points from the kicker. He only won by 2, folks. And 5 points from the Chiefs coach. On the bench, Javonte Williams didn't play. Trevor Lawrence with 17. Zay Jones with 11. So anyway, when you add it all up, Vinny sits at 3-2, right in the middle of it. Rick Erdman 1-4. Again, it's early in the season still. I mean, more than a third of the way through, but there's still time. There's bye weeks. There's a lot of things yet to happen. There may still be some players out there in free agency that can make a difference. And this was a good win for Vin. It's always nice to win the close ones. Moving on, Southpaw, Craig Roloff taking on our chop, Matt. 190 to 154, Matt wins. This was an extremely important game for the Goodfellas. This is one that I was watching very closely because if Southpaw lost, then he and I would have been even in record and with the head-to-head win, and he's, again, a dangerous team, although despite the loss of Justin Jefferson, which we're going to touch on in a second. On bye, Justin Herbert, that's a tough loss. Rachaad White. On Matt's side, DK Metcalf and Joshua Palmer. So let's look at Southpaw. He's still got 28 points from Hal, right? It's a good score. James Cook, only 5 points. Miles Sanders continues to disappoint with a 1-point effort. Justin Jefferson, only 5 points, and that's only because he got injured. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to miss some time. But check it out, folks. 63 points from Jamar Chase. That's incredible. And Jamar Chase was just traded to Craig 2 weeks ago, and he's putting up big numbers since his arrival. Darren Waller with 16 points. Calvin Ridley, the preseason darling, doing 25 points. 11 from Judy. A -1 from your defense. A -5 from the coach. 6 points from the kicker. There was 30 points sitting on the bench for Dallas Goedert. I was a little surprised to see. I understand the reasons behind putting Waller in there. You figure they're playing Miami. You think the Giants are going to have to wing it all over the place. But reports leading up to this week, and actually even last week, were that Philadelphia wanted to get Goddard more involved in the passing game. And he was like one of the top 3 tight ends in football last year before his injury. So I definitely think that not having him on there, I would have personally gone with Goddard. Just a personal decision. Didn't really matter. It wouldn't have changed the outcome here. Just an item of note. On Matt's side, only 5 points from Lamar Jackson. James Conner injured, 4 points. Breece Hall, man, the guy looks just amazing. 38 points. Jets just did lose an offensive lineman, but Breece Hall is playing lights out. Stephon Diggs, 29 points. Again, Buffalo's playing real well on offense. Olave with 9. Kmet, again, proving me wrong, 15 points. 10 points from Michael Pittman, Steady Eddie. A-Chain, 32 points. Another exciting rookie. Unfortunately, going to be out for a little while. Saints defense, 32 points. Greg the Legs Zerline, 19 points. Ravens coach, -3. Still a nice point total on the bench. You had Zay Flowers and Tyjae Spears, CJ Stroud. Nothing too urgent. 190 points for our chop. 154 points for Southpaw. Southpaw falls to 3-2. Still an incredibly dangerous team and one to watch. Our chop raises up to 3-2. And unfortunately, so very, very good running back core. Unfortunately, a lot of injuries. He has lost Nick Chubb. He's lost James Conner. He's lost A-Chain. Just a really, really tough injury situation. But Matt learned from the best, so watch out for him. He knows how to manage a team. All right, gentlemen, we'll move on to the last one. And here we go. Got to give props, right? Got to give credit where credit is due. The only team to score over 200 points this week, although there was a couple that got close, is also the only undefeated team in Hop. And must give credit, the only one who has not tasted a loss yet. And that is Morrow and Morrow's Vikings, 5-0. Unbeaten. Taking on Polish Powers, Errol, who falls to 3-2. 201 to 145. Bye weeks, nothing really of note. Well, Keenan Allen on Errol's side, and Deshaun Watson. So let's take a look. On Morrow's side, we had Jalen Hurts with 33, Madison with 12, Khalil Herbert with 7. Khalil Herbert also got hurt, so he's done for a while. A.J. Brown with 23, Debo with 11, Kelsey, who's a Superman, comes out with what looked like a non-contact injury. Comes back and puts up a 22 spot, catches a touchdown after he came back from the injury. DeAndre Hopkins with his best game with Tennessee with 27 points. Adam Thielen continues to play lights out, 32 points. Bills defense 15, Jake Elliott 11. Excuse me. 49ers with a big win and 8 points. Here's the interesting one here, though. Zach Moss, 44 points. I don't blame anybody for mentioning Zach Moss when you get word that Jonathan Taylor not only came back, but also signed a contract. But Zach Moss with 44 points on the bench. Can't believe it didn't come back and hurt you. It would have been a sick, if you put him in for Herbert or something, would have been a sick point total. Other than that, nothing really more of note. On the Polish Power side, 30 points from Tua Tagovailoa, 40 points from Travis Etienne. That was a very big surprise. Pacheco with 12, Garrett Wilson with 8, Terry McLaurin with 8, Hawkinson with 10. Hawkinson is a player to watch right now, with Jefferson missing some time, and I'm not convinced Jefferson even comes back this year, which is another discussion for another day. I think Minnesota is going to start to dismantle their team a little bit. But Hawkinson's going to be, I think, the most immediate beneficiary of Jefferson being out, and very well could be tight end 1 the rest of the season. And I heard that opinion spelled out other places as well. I happen to agree. Jonathan Taylor back. Only 3 points on this day, but his role is only going to increase. Kyron Williams with 7 points. A down day for the Rams versus Philadelphia. 15 points from the Bears defense. Crazy playing Bears defense. They've been horrible, but he got 15 points from them. 6 points from the kicker, 6 points from the coach. We mentioned the bye weeks. Saquon Barkley also, again, did not suit up. But, I mean, Saquon Barkley, Keenan Allen, Jonathan Taylor, there's a lot of beef on this team. And is certainly someone to watch moving forward. Polish Powers 3-2, Morrow's Vikings, as I said, 5-0. Congratulations to Morrow. I made some comments about, maybe not wanting to be or other teams being better than his. Can't argue with a 5-0 record. So good job for Morrow. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I have some things to take care of today. Bye weeks. Pay attention to them. Injuries are piling up. The way you manage your team really goes a long way to how you do in this league, and you guys all know that. We see it every year. There's been a lot of trades, a lot of activity. Keep it up. I hope you guys are having a good time. I know that I am. Let me go ahead and stop the share here. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and end today. Thanks for watching the video. This has been the OMC Show. And as always, I'm thrilled to be back in the box talking hot football with you. Have a good one, guys. I'll try to do a preview video for Week 6. I don't know if I'm going to get to it. I'll do the best I can. If not, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.